Hello everyone, it's Farket here, and in this video I'm going to cover the second update for Sons of the Forest, the second major update. Now apologies for this video being delayed, my CPU died. I'm going to cover more about it at the end of the video, if you're interested. Now I'm going to cover the changes what I think is most major to least, but also I'm going to keep spoilers right at the end. I'm going to mark that there's going to be a spoiler ahead of time. Now the first change that is major in my opinion is that container items will now save their state in single player, so if they are opened or broken, they stay that way. Now this means a lot more than you think it does, and this actually affects multiplayer too. What it means is that when you open the containers, you've got to take the item, or when you save and reload, the item disappears and it never closes again, which means you cannot spawn camp these things anymore. This is how it was in the forest to some degree, but it even affects caves. So this means that it's going to be a lot more difficult to get items in this game. Important ones like duct tape, rope, ammunition, zipline ropes, food, all that sort of stuff. This is a change that I kind of did want, though we're going to have to see how this one pans out because it's definitely going to make the game a lot harder. I did a lot of tests on this one, and what I discovered is that it only affects containers. Anything you've opened, it will affect. If you find items on the ground in the world, if you pick them up, when you save and reload, they will respawn. So anything on the ground is safe, it will respawn. If you don't take the items out of the container, they will despawn. So I advise you open up containers wisely from now on. There's a little camp near the starting location on the beach. It has 3 duct tape on the ground there. This can be a good place to get it. There's also a couple of other places like the entrance for the luxury bunkers has 2 there. So you're going to need to plan your builds more accordingly to these locations if you want these items. So yes, it affects containers within caves and out of caves. So it's definitely going to make the game a lot more harder. And the test on multiplayer, it's the same thing. So it's not just single player. I don't know if they'll change that. To be honest, it doesn't affect me because I don't play it. The next major one is that they've added a turtle shell rain collector, but it's actually called a rain catcher in the book. Requires 16 sticks and 1 turtle shell, so it's a little bit more sticks in the forest, which had 4. And it functions pretty much the exact same way. If you're not building near water, you're going to need quite a few of these. I do not know if they drain water, and they don't fill up very quickly either. Even with heavy rain, I confirmed it because I typed it in, it still fills up quite slowly, so build lots of these if you can. Very good thing to build, and it can be picked up and moved as well. The next thing isn't that major, but I don't know why I've got it here, it's here. They've got a new double-story cannibal hut type, and it's making me think that we might be getting structures with planks, because why should they be able to build with planks and we can't? I think that's quite rude. You cannot blow them up as well, so don't waste your explosives. I don't know if they can climb up inside them, but it might be a good way to get away from them temporarily if you're raiding their villages. The next one is player is now able to use most left-handed items while gliding. So what it basically means is you can use the GPS, so you know where you're going. Very useful addition. The next change is that they've reduced the chainsaw's full charge duration. Now I haven't even used the chainsaw before doing this, and I cut down about 10 trees and it only used 2 bars of battery. Batteries are going to receive a change in the future for the chainsaw. Here's a slight confirmation of it, though I'm just guessing. I don't know why they would have went through the effort to make this and then not include it. It will come to the game eventually. It's probably going to be a big nerf for the chainsaw though. And just remember, if you want to increase your strength, you're not going to do it using a chainsaw, but it is a lot faster to cut down trees. It's a lot more consistent too. The next one is they've increased the fullness from MREs and decreased the fullness from eating cat food. It's quite a drastic change. It's like completely flipped. Cat food used to give you like 80% or 75% fullness, and MREs used to give like 25. Now it's complete opposite. They've switched places. So now cat food's even more useless because not only have you got to go through the animation of using the can opener, it's going to give you a lot less fullness. You have to eat like 3 cans to get 1 MRE. It doesn't really make sense because I'm assuming that the cat food would have a lot of protein in it and should fill you up. Probably doesn't taste very nice, but it'll have a lot of nutritional value. The next change is that they've added an auto backup system when overwriting saves. Now the forest never had this. This is actually quite a good change. So if you navigate to your app data, local low, end night, Sons of the Forest saves, your number, and then your single player or multiplayer, you'll see some zip files there. So it just automatically backs them up. As you can see, I have a lot because I have no self-control and I can't remember The next change is that they've improved the lit fire torch brightness when viewed in first person. I'm not sure why they said in first person, maybe because in multiplayer you won't notice it, I'm not sure. But it does make quite a bit of difference. It is a lot better than what it was. It actually used to make it more difficult to see in caves and at night when it was lit. It doesn't have a long range, but it has a big area of effect. The next change is that they've added more story elements. Now, I only found one, and because my computer died while I was making this video, I wasn't able to find more. Plus, they're kind of spoilerish anyway. But this is in the first cave near the beach starting location. Next thing is furniture or ziplines can no longer be attached to doors and gates. This is a fairly obvious one, I think, and was probably kind of needed because you couldn't move the zipline anyway. If you shoot it at a wall and change it into a door, it will remove your zipline, so you won't get it back. So just don't do it. There might be some tricks that could be figured out, but at this point of the game, they're on a mad adventure to fix every bug and exploit and glitch. So there's probably no point in finding it out. The next one is that rabbits and squirrels will now try harder to evade the player and run faster. The most impressive thing about this is when I was writing in the title at the top, I actually spelled squirrel right. For some reason in my head, that word is very difficult to spell. Now I tested it out, they do move a bit faster and I think they jump around a little bit more, but you can still outrun them to some degree. Now that they've changed the way loot crates work, it's definitely going to make these things a lot more useful. This one's a bit odd because I don't know if I tested it right, but player will no longer take survival stat damage while strung up on effigies. So I thought a good way to test this would be the one where you die near the beach. You spawn underwater, tied down underwater. I hope I worded that right. And because I was playing with console commands, I don't know if I had God mode on. I'm pretty sure I didn't because you can still take damage, but I was down there for a long time and I put timescale on ×3. So I was probably down there for about a good 2 minutes and I didn't take any damage. I could be wrong though. Don't risk it, but otherwise I think it works. Next change is that the flashlight will now auto replace the battery sooner so that it happens before the light begins to fade. I did a quick test on this one. I just used timescale to speed up the duration of when it was draining and then put it back to normal. Not long after the battery started flashing, it switched over. It's automatic. The player doesn't have to do like a 30-second animation of changing batteries in a flashlight. Thank God. The next change is that they fixed item duping using storage holders, which just means you can't duplicate logs. You're probably able to duplicate other items. I never focused on this because if I wanted to cheat, I'd just use console commands. And I do for my tutorials. And you can use them in multiplayer, so if you want to play with your friends, just do it that way. There's probably going to be another way to duplicate logs, but it will be fixed. It's just a matter of time. The next one is turtle eggs will no longer hatch on shells or in the player's grab bag. Now, I don't really know what this means, but I caught a turtle hatching my inventory one time, so I thought I'd show it. They don't give much fullness and that sort of stuff. Quite a cool aesthetic feature. The turtle crawled away. I didn't check where he went. He's probably in the ocean by now. The next one is that they fixed the GPS locator not being cleared after being picked up and loaded from a save, which basically means once you pick it up, it won't keep respawning. Hopefully that's what it means because it was quite confusing to have that keep reappearing. I thought, oh, it's a new location, but no, it was the same one. It's just because I'm a noob at this game at this point. The other part of this is that the tactical shotgun and the coffin GPS locator will no longer show up after loading a save where the player has already picked it up. What I think this means is that if you pick up the shotgun and the locator, you won't know where the spot is and it's quite difficult to locate it. So what I recommend you do is when you get this, place a marker of some kind, a building or something, a couple of logs just so it stands out, because then what you can do is after you save and reload, the shotgun respawns. This will probably be fixed, but it might be a way temporarily to give Virginia a shotgun and one for yourself. So you still can get multiple shotguns, because this carries on to the next point, which is they've removed the shotgun pickup from the bunker luxury. I don't think this is a spoiler, that's why I've included it here. But to show you reference, before the patch, the shotgun was there and I just threw it on the ground because I already had one. So the only place you can get a shotgun is at that coffin. And if you don't know, that shotgun slaps, and they just recently halved the damage and it still slaps. Very good. Ammo's going to be tight now though. The next one is that they changed the face on the maintenance keycard to not be the player character. I didn't really notice this, but I have been cropping all the images for the game and I managed to get the one beforehand, so this is what it looked like before and after. So I guess it was the player. It does look a bit like him. The colors in that is just the lighting from when I took the photo or screenshot. The next change is that floors no longer allow placing walls if there's a leaning beam above. Now, Night Before Dawn found a fix for this if you still want to do it. It's good if you want to place stairs inside your house, etc. This is a video of him doing it. He's quite savvy with his builds. I recommend you check him out. Now for this next one is the new cave location and the cave. Now what I'm going to do is run through it briefly and just talk about other things, but this is a location of it anyway. But quickly, the cave is quite big and is very open, which means that your light sources aren't going to reflect too well. So it's going to be very difficult to see in there unless you're up against a wall. There's actually not that many enemies in there, compared to what I found in other caves, but it is very big and it is very long, but you want to go through and clear it in one hit because otherwise enemies respawn. And I don't know if it's like hard, but on hard they respawn back much more than what there originally was. It's insane. So make sure you bring a packed lunch or something. The next one is firewood now crumbles when the fuel is lit up on fires and can be replaced with the new firewood. They've increased the burn time on campfires, and also they increased the fuel amount provided by leaves and cache by 10 times, which is a lot. The next thing is they fixed multiple cases of enemies being able to spawn inside player built bases. Now this is a very good addition, but I was not able to find any footage that would be relevant to this. But basically enemies were spawning inside your base, inside your walls, and even inside your house. So hopefully this fixes that problem. They prevented some cases of animals and enemies being able to spawn on player-built structures. Yeah, well, that goes back to what I was just saying. Shame about the animals, though. I want deer inside my house. And they've added an admin panel for admin clients. So that's for multiplayer. So I'm guessing you can kick players or ban players, that sort of stuff. I haven't been able to check it out. Based on what End Night's like, I'm assuming it's very limited in what you can do. I could be wrong, though. They've also added an audio volume slider for the Walkie Talkie. I couldn't figure out how this works, so here's a crop version of the Walkie Talkie. Yeah, look at it. But now we are leaning into spoiler territory, just so you know. Here's your warning, your 5-second warning, mate. So yeah, use it wisely, okay? I don't think these are major spoilers, but they will get more major as time goes on, like I said at the start of the video. So they've added dead cultists to the map, and I don't know what that actually means, but I'm pretty sure it's these guys inside the new cave, and they could be elsewhere as well. They might have items around them, I didn't check. But they've also moved the gold armor to this new cave system, and it's sitting on a pedestal thing here, and that's where you can get it. You need it to access the end game section. So if you want to finish the game, you got to get this item, unless you want to glitch it somehow. They've changed gold armor to now absorb 70% of demonic damage instead of 90%. So what that means is that in the end cave, it's absolutely filled with the bloody things, and they're not that smart. They do hurt, and you can use the cross to hurt them as well, but you can just skip past them, I think. I still think you can do that. But if I keep saying that, End Night's going to be like, well, we're going to stop that, and they're going to change it and give them a speed boost so they can just hit you in the back as you're running away. The other change they've made to the gold armor is that the pickup visual is now the full armor and is positioned to fit the skeleton burnt model, which you saw before. Before it was just the top section. I think I got a screenshot of it. I'd have to check. If I did get one, I'll put it in the video, or I could just spawn it in when I get in the game. I don't know. I just can't do more on this video because my computer's still reinstalling everything. The next change is that they've added a new tougher puffy variant. Now what a puffy is, what I believe, is basically the cave mutants. They've probably named them after the Puffton family. I don't know what it is. I wasn't able to see it, and I can't see it yet. What my guess is that it's going to be a clothed variant as part of the story. The next change is that they added unique hit reacts to the dining hall bosses and replaced their knockdowns from the shotgun with smaller staggers, which means you just can't blow them away with the shotgun anymore, which means that they're going to be a lot more difficult, and still the reward for killing them is just a piece of mutant armor each. And Knight have really got to work on their incentives, because I don't see the point in killing them. I just don't see the value in such a tough fight for so little reward. One of their hits will take like 6 or 7 pieces of mutant armor off you. They hit like trucks. Next one is that they've added a new demon boss to the end of the Hell Caves. It's basically just a bigger version of the other ones, and this thing is a truck. It takes so much damage to kill it, and honestly I wish I had recorded whether you could just bypass the thing. It's so huge, it's not going to fit down the tunnel to follow you down the end part, but they might have put a thing in place to prevent you going into the end section to finish the game unless you've killed this guy. But as far as I know, they haven't. And guess what your reward is for killing this thing? 1 piece of mutant armor. Big on the incentives once again. I don't know why you'd bother wasting like 30 shells of shotgun ammo or to sit there for half an hour pointing the cross at the bloody thing, because that's what you're going to probably do. It takes a long time to take this thing down. It does glow red, so it's easier to tell apart from the other ones, plus it's like 5 times the size. It can cling to the roof. I don't know if the other little ones can. When he lands on the ground, he makes a big stomp. I don't know. I'm just, They need to work on incentives, they really do. Why should I kill this thing? I don't know. I'm not a completionist, I don't care about that crap. The next is that they've added a new surveillance room to Bunker Residential. Now just a quick thing about the names that they give these things. There's 4 bunkers, not including the maintenance tunnels, because they're just maintenance A, B, and C. Now there's Bunker Residential, Bunker Food, bunker luxury and bunker entertainment. And if you're using console commands, you can actually type this in, go to bunker and then the name, and it will take you to the front of the cave. But yes, you need to access this room now to access the next section because they've removed the keypad entrance to bunker luxury. So you'll need to open it an alternative way, which means you need to go into bunker residential, go into the surveillance room, go up to the little computers, and you'll see Timmy in the surveillance banging on the door, waiting for someone to let him in. And he'll be there for a long time until you unlock it by pressing the button on the monitor. And he looks up at you and then walks off. Now this is going to be big spoiler territory, but I wonder if he was going to sacrifice you. You let him in and he didn't tell you about the end part where the cube. I don't know. I feel like I'm spoiling too much if you haven't noticed. But I am starting to wonder if Timmy's a bad guy. I don't really care. As long as Eric's not a bad guy, that's all I care about. And the final one is that they've repositioned the dead sluggy and the bunker residential to make it possible to come back inside the bunker, which means that you can't repeat the same cutscene over and over. And it means you can exit out. This is a good change. It didn't make sense why it was blocking the door. But that is it. There's probably going to be more, but I'm just going to list them on the screen and just tell you about what happened with my computer. So it was my fault. My 10900K was overclocked and I didn't have the cooler positioned properly on it because the hoses at the side and the stupid motherboard's heat sinks on the VRM were too big and I didn't realize that, so it was never making full complete contact. So it was overheating for some time and I didn't know. Like I said, it's my own stupid fault. However, I was in a position where I had a dead CPU that was overheating like crazy, and you cannot buy a 10th gen anymore unless it's second hand. I'm not going to spend the next week trying to find a decent 10900K to fit to the motherboard. So I bit the bullet and went spend $2,000 on a 13900K, a very good cooler, and a new motherboard. And I was able to get a DDR4 compatible motherboard for 500 Australian, which is the best one you can get for the DDR4. It's all right, it's a bit of a downgrade from my last one, but I don't care. My computer's working, Sons of the Forest runs better, and I can edit faster. I needed a quick solution to the problem. I was actually hoping to wait out for the 14th gen, but it doesn't matter. I've got a working computer now and I'm happy. Though that wasn't the end of it, because I've had my GPU in a riser because I want the tubes from the AIO cooler going down, so the pump doesn't have to do so much work. Unfortunately, the cable for my GPU riser was PCIe 3.0 and it was not compatible with the video card, so I got constant freezes and I couldn't figure out why. Turns out it was that. So now I've got my video card plugged back in like a normal person in a computer, but the tubes won't go down. So I had to reorientate the AIO radiator so the tubes are up, and I've got them semi-level, but it's making a high-pitched whirring sound, which is driving me crazy. So I've got a PCIe 4 cable coming soon, hopefully, so I can raise it and get those tubes hanging down so I can get rid of that noise and so the cooler can work better. And also got a bracket mount for it too, because for some reason Intel thought it was a great idea to put a stupid lever system on the CPU that bends the CPU so the cooler can't even make flat contact surface with it to provide efficient cooling. As you can tell, I'm pretty pissed. Because not only that, the cable to my microphone died, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, why isn't my microphone working with the new motherboard? Turns out it was just a cable. Yes, I'm still using my microphone. It's that damn good. One day I'll sell them again. It's just very complicated. But I also had to reinstall Windows twice because of the amount of issues I was having. Because I had to set up Windows in CSM first to get it started, then I could set it up in GPT or whatever it's called. I can't even remember, it's been such a long 2 days. But rant over, it's all working now. And hopefully you're listening to this in a prompt time that's not too far after the update is released. So hopefully you enjoyed the update. I think it was a good update. It wasn't as fleshed out as the first one, but maybe they've got something big planned. We'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you like and subscribe. Cheers.